Hello sailors, and welcome back to a wet and windy North Shields. This week we get Reach Out back in the water, begin work on our windows, 37 kilos of new hatches, and brace for impact as Storm Kathleen hits. Join us back on board as our refit continues.
So today is a great day. Today we go back in the water, we put the boat where she belongs. We were originally expecting to be out of the water for 2 weeks. That's what I said to the marina, that's what they wrote in their book. And I think it's been 4 or 5 weeks, I'm not quite sure. The last 4 or 5 weeks have blended into a bit of a blur really. Great conditions though for a splashdown today. There's literally no wind at all. So yeah, no trickery there. We can test our steering out, the new steering that we've got in the marina. She's looking absolutely tip top. Lovely new shade of blue, feeling all rubbery. And yeah, looking forward to getting back in the water.
We received a delivery this morning. 37 kilos of new hatches! Oh my goodness!
Boxes and boxes. I think this will be our hatch. Yeah. Ooh, hatchy.
So unfazed.
Give it time.
And of course it's stormy, so we're doing more jobs. We mentioned in the first episode that all of our port lights and hatches leak, which is quite a surprise because the surveyor said they were absolutely fine. So if you're buying a boat, run a hose pipe across those windows and just see if any leaks come in, or go and see it after the rain, because I'll tell you something, replacing these windows is not just a ball ache in terms of effort, it costs an eye-watering amount of money for these things. So we looked at a number of options to deal with these leaky windows. We wanted to do it as cheap as possible, so we looked at things like refurbishing them ourselves, and also looking at a company, Eagle Windows, that also refurbishes these LEWMAR Portlights. The thing with our Portlights though is that they're from 1997. The model was changed after 1997, and therefore getting the spares for these is not easy, and B, they cost a fortune. When you look at the cost of getting all the bits and pieces to refurb the acrylic and the seals and the hinges, etc., it actually works out more expensive than buying a new port light. And also the refurbishment company came in with a price per port light that was also more than buying a new port light. So we've had to bite the bullet and buy new port lights. It was not that complicated a task. What we need to do is remove the old port light and put the new port light in. Whenever you remove something on a boat that hasn't been moved for 20 odd years, you don't know what you're going to find under it. I know this because I've already removed several of the windows and found all kinds of things underneath. None of them were brilliant. So we'll go through the removal of this window just to see how we do it. And it starts by taking off this inner thing, this inner frame or whatever. And what?
I think we'll call it the inner thing.
The inner thing.
Inner thing. Get the inner thing off.
See, the problem we've got, as you can see, is a good intro to the next topic, because this task will only be as difficult as the previous finished installation of the port light makes it. And what I mean by that is if the previous installation there has used something like butyl, this is a really easy job. But if they've used something adhesive or silicone based, it's really not an easy job. So guess which one we've got? We've got super sticky, super adhesive, some kind of silicone-y type stuff, meaning that getting these out is a real ball ache. and there's so much of it in there that things like this inner frame is actually stuck to it. So you may have thought I was a bit brutal with that, but after doing 5, it's the only way to get them out. There's no way to get these windows out without some brute force, unfortunately, because they've literally been almost super glued in. So yeah, refurbishing the windows I don't think would have even been possible because of that. So anyway, that's the first stage over. Second stage is to remove the screws from this inner frame here. This inner frame simply connects or clamps to the outer window, and all you do is put some screws in and sandwich them together, put some sealant around it, and jobs are good, and you should be nice and dry. Whoops. That is how sticky it is. The drill won't even drill it out, so we're going to need a screwdriver. It's taken the end of my screwdriver off.
No!
I love this screwdriver.
That's the good one.
Oh, for Christ's sake. So the drill couldn't do it. The big screwdriver, I've had that screwdriver for so long. I couldn't handle it. It's gone now. It's broken. And the small screwdriver, I can't handle it either. So this one's going to have to be cut out. So one of the screws just completely snapped, and the other one it knacked a screwdriver. Drill couldn't do it, and then it obviously threaded. So I've had to Dremel multi-tool it, and now the frame is off. So here you can get a much better look at the sealant. We need to break all of that in order to get this outer frame off. It's easier said than done, and unfortunately I've tried all different kinds of methods, and the only thing that works is very, very careful brute force, if you can imagine such a thing.
Behold, the controlled brute force.
There's a lull in the wind. I can talk. All of this silicone stuff is glued, absolutely glued to there. All needs to come off. Get all that cleaned up using a bit of acetone, of elbow grease, and yeah, smoke me a kipper. I'll be back for breakfast.
Day 2 of doing our windows. Yesterday got cut short because despite the weather forecast saying there is absolutely no chance that it's going to rain, it started to rain, so we had to very quickly tape everything up. It was, yeah, perfect timing. It's not going to rain. We take out 5 windows, it starts raining. But luckily our tape and plastic sheeting seem to have done the job. No water's got in the boat overnight. And I'll hand you over to Rob, who will give a bit of an update.
The very time-consuming job of cleaning all the old stuff off is done now. So you can see here that these are looking a lot nicer. But certain things that we notice are these GelCoat chips here, all around here, which look fairly innocuous. There's another one here. But if you do get water down here, then it's gonna it's going to cause potential issues later on, and it can cause some of the GRP to separate. And I did confirm it with my mate Padstow Stu, and he said, yeah, gel coat it. So today we're going to be getting some gel coat practice. Okay, so gel coat. We bought a kit from East Coast Fiberglass Supplies. Contains everything in the kit that you need to do a gel coat repair. And because it's not a marine-based thing, it's cheap, which is great. £24, I think it was, for the whole kit. Polyester gel coat. This is the actual white stuff. Colour matched to our boat, thanks to Craig.
Who guessed that it was 9003?
Paint expert 9003, and he was right, because I've already done a gel coat repair, and I couldn't even see when I was sanding it down afterwards where the repair was. So really good stuff. And then so we're gonna use some of this, and then we use this MEKP hardener, just a catalyst essentially that you mix into this, stir it around, and then it'll harden over time. So we need 5 millilitres of this. So we've got a little measuring cup which you get in the kit. It's about a teaspoon of stuff. So just use this stick.
Excuse me while I like that.
Please don't. We need you as crew. So I would say that was just a little bit over 5 mils, but the reason I'm weighing it is because this is the last measuring cup that I've got. So I just would like instructions that said how many grams of gel coat to how many drops of hardener, and you'll see why in a sec. So that's kind of like 9 grams, but I would say we're pushing like 7 mils there or something like that. So I would say we need about 6 grams for 5 mils in future. And then we add some hardener. 5 mils of gel coat requires 2 drops of hardener at 20 degrees Celsius. We're about 15 degrees Celsius, and when we did this the other week, it was freezing cold. So rather than the 2 drops per 5, we used 4 drops per 5, which the guy said was okay. So today I've got a little bit more, obviously. So I'm just going to go with 4 drops again. That's it. The boat is a complete tip, which always happens when there's many jobs going on at the same time. So now you just give this like a really good mix. Like keep mixing it for a good few minutes, you know. Now we've already prepped the areas, the gel coat, so where the chips were, you just need to kind of go at it with a screwdriver and bit, and any loose bits, just take them off. It doesn't matter, like you're causing more damage, but you know, it's going to come off anyway, so you need a good surface for this to bond to. So we've done that, and we've also cleaned it down with acetone as well, just to kind of get any like loose bits out of there and any remaining bits of grease and that. This stuff stinks, so just, you know, don't be breathing it in. And make sure you like mix around the edges as well. But if you want a proper video of this, go to East Coast Fiberglass Supplies, just Google it, and the guy's got a great video there of how to do this, like step by step, and that's how we learned. And having done one repair already, it works. You know, don't be scared of doing gel coat repairs. Then you're just looking at applying small amounts to your crack, for want of a better phrase. You want it to sit proud, so slightly higher than your surface, because later on when we finish this we're going to sand it. And because this is not going to be a visible surface, I'm not that bothered about the exact, I mean, I know this is a colour match, but ideally if this was in a visible part you would polish all around this to bring the true colour of the gel coat out, because this is actually dirty, like, you know, so it's not its true colour, but we're not bothered because it's, as I say, it's not going to be visible. So because this is a vertical surface, the gel coat can run out of it and drip down. We don't want that. So we put this release film over the top of it, All we're looking for is this surface tension to kind of just hold the gel coat in place, and it will cure in that position and therefore not drip down.
6 hours later.
Once the gel coat had fully hardened, we could remove the release film and start sanding. We wet sanded with a 240 grit, leaving a smooth finish indistinguishable from the surrounding surface.
Screws for this job. You'd think you just need the same type of screw for everywhere. You need these machine screws, M5 machine screws, in A4 stainless steel, so marine grade. But you need different lengths for different parts of your boat because your hull is different thicknesses depending on where you are. But interestingly enough, I pulled out 50mm screws out of the old frames, and I'm putting 40mm screws into the new frames. I think one of the reasons that the frames were leaking was because the screws were too long, and therefore the clamping effect of the screws is not, sufficient to create a watertight seal. So rather than use the right length screws, it looks as though there was just too much sealant put in there to kind of compensate for it. And I think shorter screws will give it a much better clamp, and then you don't need as much sealant, of course. So really interesting from my perspective, having done this for 2 days now.
Next, we applied arbomast butyl sealing compound to the groove running around the portlights. This substance is difficult enough to work with on a calm day, but during these high winds, it drove us crazy. It was so messy. Day 3 of doing the hatches, and Storm Kathleen is causing a bit of havoc. Royal Quays Marina is really sheltered. We're up the River Tyne, we're behind a lock, but even in here the boats are doing this. I'll get a little bit of footage of it later, but yeah, we are we're rolling around all over the shop in here. We actually got a bit of land sickness when we got home last night, just because Rob had been inside doing this all day, trying to put screws in, and the boats were doing this next to each other, and yeah, he was feeling a little bit woozy. Now, excuse the mess. Reach out is a tip, because whenever you're doing boat jobs, the rule is you have to make a complete mess. But I chucked it down last night, absolutely chucked it down, and there's no water coming through the hatches. That is a win. So, jobs today are to remove the tape around the windows and clear up all the butyl sealant, and see how we get on.
So we used arbomast butyl sealant for the windows, principally because if we need to remove the windows in future, it's easy to get off. It doesn't have any kind of adhesive properties, just sealant properties. It doesn't really set, so it doesn't go hard, and therefore if you need to remove the window, take the screws out, give it a push. It can be quite messy to work with, and yeah, I can verify that. This particular window was put in without using any tape or anything. It's our first window, so it's a bit messy around the outsides. So today's job is to work out how to get this off. We're going to try isopropyl alcohol, being careful not to get any on the acrylic, but also because it can damage the acrylic, but also trying not to get too much of it on there so that it compromises the seal of the butyl as well. The other windows we did tape up, so we'll see how much of a mess that made in a bit.
After a few hours of being battered by Storm Kathleen, we decided to seek refuge in something equally battered but much more tasty. Thanks to a suggestion from subscriber Kev, we decided to try the Golden Chippy.
Oh, it certainly looks very, very good indeed, Kev. Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's looking like the business.
Day 4 of doing the windows. Is it 4? 5? 4? I've lost count. Yesterday was ridiculous. The weather was so bad we gave up. We went home. So I'm going to crack on today by myself. I was just chatting to Matt Bailey from Breakfast, the local BBC Newcastle radio presenter. I used to listen every morning doing my morning commute to Taekwondo, and so it was nice to meet him and give him a bit of a tour of the boat. So that was quite exciting, getting to be on the radio and being interviewed. Got to plug the YouTube channel, which was quite cool. Yeah, and talking about our plans, talking about going to France, talking about orcas, interacting with boats, talking about, you know, motivations for why we decided to do this, why working from home all the way through COVID kind of kick-started this idea of doing something a bit different, about, you know, getting out of the office chair, seeing a bit of the world. Tape's so annoying. Blue masking tape is the only masking tape I want to use from now on. See, it just rips. Oh, there we go. That's more like it. What a horrible day. Well, like, bad news, it's raining. Good news, we get to test if the port lights are leaking. Bad news, 2 of the port lights are leaking. Good news, 5 of them aren't, which isn't too bad. First time installing port lights. Yeah, I'm not a glazer, I'm an author. So 5 out of 7, not bad at all. We think maybe we've just over-tightened the screws, but hopefully it's not too much of a pain to get those off and get them back on again and give it another go. But I think we'll wait till it stops raining. Also, we were on the radio this morning. It wasn't the segment that they came to record, but apparently the presenter split his pants getting on and off Reach Out. So Matt Bailey at Breakfast, I apologise that you split your pants, and no, I didn't notice.
Honestly, the gift that keeps on giving.
Is it there?
Nope. Ah, look at that.
Just when we thought we were finished.
LewMar Portlights, it's the gift that keeps on giving. It really is. Like,
how can a little bit of plastic cause so much trouble?
it's an expensive bit of plastic as well. Because that bit there's caught double back on itself. We've all done the same.
Success?
Well, I don't think so, because I mean I can still see screws, but at this point I don't care. I think in future, in a long time, in a galaxy far away, I might go for different port lights than LewMar ones.
Yeah.
Because I was looking actually on SailingLife, the Scandinavian fellow who's rebuilding his boat. He's absolutely fantastic. And he went with a different brand, one that I'd never heard of, but it was half the price of LewMar. And the product looked great. Like, so it looked fine.
Would they fit the same shape holes, or do you need to?
I don't know. I mean, it's a boat job, so no, they're probably smaller, which makes it even worse. You know what I mean? But I don't know. But anyway, I mean, it would have cost us thousands of pounds to get these windows installed by someone else. So I'm glad that we've done it ourselves.
Yeah.
It's been much harder than expected, but not too difficult. And I think if we were going to do this next time, like after everything we've learned this time, it would take half the time, if that.
So with the portlights, what was the most difficult bit?
The portlights, getting them off,
Yeah,
and
that
getting them
was true.
cleaned down, took hours.
And we're going to move on to hatches next. Do you think that'll be just the same, easier, harder?
Well, on paper, the hatches should be far easier than the portlights.
Okay, well that's good. So like just a day or two. Or...
Yeah.
All right.
Ish.
Cool. Nice. On to the next one. Oh, you sweet innocent sailors. No, it won't be easier at all. In fact, at one point, you're going to have 6 gaping holes in your coach roof. Just in time for it to start raining. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. As always, sailors, fair winds.